My name is Omar Reyes. On July 10th, 1985, my family and I landed in Canada. And so, as an immigrant, as a Salvadorian, as a Canadian citizen, it is an honor and privilege to be reading the closing words of the TRC report. On September 22, 2013, the day after the British Columbia national event, the commissioners joined 70,000 people gathered in the pouring rain to participate in a walk for reconciliation organized by Reconciliation Canada, a non-profit organization. If one was looking down Georgia Street in downtown Vancouver, a sea of multicolored umbrellas was visible as far as the eye could see. Traditional ceremonies and protocols began the walk. Chiefs in regalia, women wrapped in button blankets and cedar capes, and drumming, dancing, and singing accompanied survivors, their families, and people from multiple faith traditions in all walks of life, who marched together in solidarity. We walked for survivors and all that they had done to bring the long-hidden story of residential schools to the country's attention. We walked to remember the thousands of children who died in residential schools. We walked to honor all Indigenous peoples as they reclaim and restore their identity, equality, and dignity. We walked to stand up for the transformative social change that is so urgently needed in Canada. And we walked for the uplifting solidarity of being united with tens of thousands of others, all joined together in a new community of common purpose. Residential school and survivor and Gwagwaniak elder, Chief Dr. Robert Joseph, speaking as Reconciliation Canada's ambassador, has said, reconciliation includes anyone with an open heart and an open mind. Anyone who is willing to look to the future in a new way. Let us find a way to belong to this time and place together. Our future and the well-being of our children rests with the kind of relationships we build today. In November 2012, elders from Indigenous nations and many other cultures gathered for 2 days in Musqueam territory in Vancouver, British Columbia, to talk about how reconciliation can help Canada move forward. In a statement afterwards, they said, "As Canadians, we share a responsibility to look after each other and acknowledge the pain and suffering that our diverse societies have endured, a pain that has been handed down to the next generations. We need to right those wrongs, heal together, and create a new future that honors the unique gifts of our children and grandchildren. How do we do this? Through sharing our personal stories, legends, and traditional teachings. We found that we are connected through the same mind and spirit. Our traditional teachings speak to acts such as holding one another up, walking together, balance, healing, and unity. Our stories show how these teachings can heal their pain and restore dignity. We discovered that in all of our cultural traditions, there are teachings about reconciliation, forgiveness, unity, and balance. We invite you to search in your own traditions and beliefs and those of your ancestors to find these core values that create a peaceful, harmonious society and a healthy earth." The work of the TRC has shown just how difficult the process of truth determination has been. Thousands of survivors came forward and in tears and with anger shared their pain. They showed how humor, perseverance, and resilience got them through the hardest of times, and how life after the schools sometimes just got too hard. They came forward to share their stories, not just to ease their burdens, but also to try to make things better for their children and their grandchildren. reconciliation is going to take hard work. People of all walks of life and at all levels of society will need to be willingly engaged. Reconciliation calls for personal action. People need to get to know each other. They need to learn how to speak to and about each other respectfully. They need to learn how to speak knowledgeably about the history of this country. And they need to ensure that their children learn to do so as well. Reconciliation calls for group action. The 2012 Vancouver Olympics Organizing Committee recognized, paid tribute to, and honored the 4 host First Nations at all public events it organized. Clubs, sports, teams, artists, musicians, writers, teachers, doctors, lawyers, judges, and politicians need to learn from that example of how to be more inclusive and more respectful, and how to engage more fully in the dialogue about reconciliation. Reconciliation calls for community action. The city of Vancouver, British Columbia, proclaimed itself the City of Reconciliation. The city of Halifax, Nova Scotia, holds an annual parade and procession commemorating the 1761 Treaty of Peace and Friendship. Speeches are delivered, and everyone who attends is feasted. The city of Wetaskiwin, Alberta, erected a sign at its outskirts with the city's name written in Cree syllabics. Other communities can do similar things. Reconciliation calls for federal, provincial, and territorial government action. Reconciliation calls for national action. The way we govern ourselves must change. Laws must change. Policies and programs must change. The way we educate our children and ourselves must change. The way we do business must change. Thinking must change. The way we talk to and about each other must change. All Canadians must make a firm and lasting commitment to reconciliation to ensure that Canada is a country where our children and grandchildren can thrive.